Chapter 4. The night before the flame Cashin wandered the winding halls of the Arcstrider dormitory wing, a map crystal hovering just above his palm. It flickered with blue light, turning translucent as it guided him down another corridor, past door after identical door, until it pulsed and dimmed in front of one. His name shimmered on a brass plate, Cashin Arkwright, Initiate, Arcstrider Division. He paused for a breath, then pushed the door open. The room was modest. Clean lines, bare stone walls, and a wide window looking out toward the western towers. A single bed, a simple desk with a few empty shelves, and a wooden locker adorned with the etched sigil of the Arcstrider Division. Everything smelled faintly of ozone and oil, as if the air itself carried tension. Cashin dropped his satchel at the foot of the bed and sat, running a hand through his hair. The silence pressed in. Until now, things had moved quickly, rituals, ceremonies, transitions. Now that stillness settled in, the weight of it all crept forward. Tomorrow, Real training would begin. No more presentations, no more orientation speeches. He reached into his pack and pulled out the one thing he'd brought from home, a silver pendant shaped like a closed eye. His mother's gift. He turned it over in his palm, thumb grazing the familiar ridges. "Watch and endure," she'd whispered before the rite had begun. He clasped it around his neck and lay back, eyes tracing the lines of the ceiling. Training, combat, reflexes beyond human norm. What if he failed the first test? He needed answers. And if the upperclassmen weren't exactly forthcoming, maybe the other initiates would be. A bell tolled faintly in the distance, deep and resonant. Dinner call. The mess hall was carved into the lower levels of the division tower, a vast circular chamber built from black stone and illuminated with overhead glyph light. Tables formed concentric rings, with food lines at the edges. The energy was different here, tense, expectant, like every student was coiled before a race. Cashin grabbed a tray and slid into line behind a tall, lanky recruit with a half ponytail and nervous twitch. "First day jitters?" Cashin asked casually. The guy chuckled without humor. "More like first day dread. Word is, Mavrin doesn't do light warm-ups." Cashin raised an eyebrow. "You've heard anything specific?" "Rumors mostly. Reflex pits. Glyph maze runs. Dual blind sparring. Some of the seniors say they tailor the exercises to each initiate's assessment. Personalized chaos." Cashin winced. That explains the crystal's detailed readout. Another recruit, a short, stocky girl with coppery skin and braided hair, joined them at the table after receiving her food. "I heard they make you fight someone senior on day one. Just to see how fast you break." "That's gotta be an exaggeration," said the lanky one. "Right?" She shrugged. "Hope so. I don't fancy getting paralyzed before breakfast." Cashin poked at the strange, purplish root stew on his plate. "Whatever it is, we'd better be sharp. They're watching." The other two nodded. As the conversation drifted to the day's lectures and theories of Arcstrider combat, Cashin listened closely. Every scrap of knowledge might give him an edge tomorrow. And he would need every edge he could get. Because whatever this world had in store, failure wasn't just about falling behind. It was about being forgotten. Chapter 5. Break of Blade. Cashin's dreams were still tangled in the sounds of steel clashing when the door to his room slammed open with a thunderous crack. "On your feet, Arcstrider. 5 minutes to courtyard." The voice was raw thunder, belonging to a broad-shouldered man in full instructor regalia. Cashin blinked groggily, halfway between consciousness and confusion. "Let's go, initiate," the instructor barked again. "If you're slower than your blade, you'll die before you even draw it." Cashin scrambled out of bed, heart pounding, yanking on his uniform in a frenzy. Across the hall, similar shouting echoed through the corridors, punctuated by groans, curses, and boots hitting stone. The air outside his room was chaos incarnate. Recruits jostled into uniforms, shouldering gear, bolting toward the courtyard stairwells as instructors moved like predators through the crowd. So much for a calm warm-up. Cashin's muscles screamed from the sudden movement, but adrenaline carried him. He slapped the silver pendant around his neck for good luck and joined the rush. They spilled out into the outer ring courtyard just as the sky was shifting from twilight to flame. Dozens of recruits lined up as instructors paced before them like wolves before the hunt. Instructor Mavrin strode to the center platform, cloak flickering with embedded glyph light. "This is not your world anymore," he announced. "You are in the crucible of the Arcstriders. You will bend, break, or become something more. Today begins with flame and ends with blood. If you're still standing." He pointed sharply to the north end of the courtyard, where glimmering sigils lit up a series of arcane doorways. First test, precision. The gates shimmered, revealing narrow hallways filled with swinging blades, pressure plates, and flashing glyphs. "The reflex run," Mavrin said. "Make it through without bleeding. Or at least without bleeding much." Recruits exchanged nervous glances. Cashin stepped forward into his assigned lane. The gate opened. He inhaled once, then sprinted. The corridor was chaos. Pendulum blades swung from the ceiling at random intervals. Glyphs flared with blinding bursts of light. The floor tiles pulsed beneath his boots, some solid, some not. Cashin ducked under one blade, twisted mid-air to avoid a flash burst, and landed just shy of a collapsing plate. His breath was sharp, his movements almost on instinct. This wasn't just reaction, it was anticipation. He stumbled out the other side, panting, a shallow gash on his shoulder, but still standing. A senior nodded as he passed. "Not bad, initiate." Next came partner drills. Pairs were randomly assigned in order to mirror one another's movements perfectly under escalating tempo. Coordination, timing, and synergy. Cashin was paired with the copper-skinned girl from dinner. Her name, he learned quickly, was Naira. She was fast. They fell into rhythm like two blades in the same hand. The final exercise before breakfast was a series of pressure dome sparring matches, low-gravity spheres with randomized grav shifts to test balance and movement control. Cashin fought twice, won once, lost once. But when he emerged from the last dome, sweat-soaked and sore, he was grinning. He was surviving. The recruits reassembled near the mess entrance. Mavrin walked the line slowly. "You will not be praised for surviving. You will not be awarded for mediocrity. But you are here. You are breathing. And that means you are still contenders." With a gesture, he turned and disappeared into the shadows. The doors creaked open. "Breakfast," someone muttered. Cashin's legs ached, his chest heaved, but he felt more awake than he had in days. The fire was beginning to catch. After breakfast, the recruits were led to a large underground chamber known as the Echo Vault, a vast arena surrounded by training platforms, runes glowing along the outer walls. The Arcstriders' true work began here. Instructor Valen, a wiry woman with silver hair bound in metal rings, took over the session. "You've shown you can move," she said. "Now we see if you can think while moving." The next hour was filled with memory duels. One recruit would be given a sequence of moves or sigils to replicate mid-combat, while the opponent attacked with randomized patterns. Cashin struggled at first. Remembering a sequence while defending himself forced his mind and reflexes into conflict. But slowly, it began to click. By the third set, he was deflecting while memorizing, turning defense into muscle memory. They transitioned into resonance drills. Learning to tap into ambient glyph energy and channel it through focus points along the body. Many failed outright, glyph sparks backfiring or fading. Cashin managed a faint, flickering burst through his palm, just enough to light a glyph seal on a stone dummy's chest. "Better than most on day one," muttered Valen. The day ended with a lecture circle on the basics of sword anchoring and energy displacement. Recruits sat in a loose ring as Instructor Mavrin returned, standing amid arcs of steel blades suspended midair. "This is not steel," he said, raising a hand. "It is your will made tangible. Your bond to motion and mind. What you carry on your back is not a sword, it is a reflection. You fail to master yourself, and you will never draw your weapon properly." He snapped his fingers, and the sword spun and blurred, carving patterns of light in the air. Cassian stared, entranced. A flicker of understanding dawned. Not just training. Not just combat. This was becoming something more. Something closer to truth. And the forge had only just been lit.